Like there are very clear, tangible applications for the stuff that are either live today or will be live in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So very, very immediate future. One of my favorite examples is online gambling. If you look at the history of online gambling, it's rife with fraud because the host, the casino, ran the ran the random number generator on their server, and there was no audit record or trail to demonstrate that the consumer was getting a fair random number. And like blockchain, without a question, is the right answer to this problem. And if you look at Funfair, it's kind of a prominent team that's solving this. Like you might say that's not mainstream, but dude, there are hundreds of millions of people around the world who like gambling in a casino. Like it's a real global market, and like this is the right answer. I look at something like Augur. It's true the Augur team has been slow to ship, but like the system is on the verge of coming out. Engineers are notoriously not good at projecting timelines, but like Augur is a revolutionary concept. It's the ability to have a decentralized prediction market, right? We're investing in all kinds of things like Filecoin and Golem and these distributed compute technologies. LivePeer just went live on mainnet a week ago. We're fortunate to be early investors in LivePeer. And LivePeer is going to enable censorship-resistant, video transcoding and ultimately video relaying, so that when people try to get regulated by the governments in whatever country, they'll be able to get live video out of the country. These are powerful technologies and concepts. They're still very nascent. They're still fragile. They're buggy. They kind of sort of don't work, kind of do work. But like this stuff is very clearly quite powerful. I think it's a little bit unfair to just say, oh, well, Bitcoin is the only thing that's there. Well, the digital gold use case is certainly valuable, no questions asked. But there's a lot of other compelling applications for this stuff.
See, I don't know if they're that compelling because you can do them without a blockchain. You could do them like sort of peer-to-peer using something like without needing to do all of this crazy stuff on a blockchain that's really expensive. I mean, from a technological standpoint, a blockchain is extremely expensive, right? Like you have to store all the data, you have to transmit all the data, you have to verify all the data. And not only that, but you have to like sort of keep track of everything. And every single node that's on the network has to do all of that. If you have a centralized service, you only have to do it once. With 1,000 nodes on the network, you have to do it 1,000 times. And you don't, with a centralized service, you don't have to verify everything every single time. You don't have to transmit to 1,000 different nodes. So in a sense, this seems like a solution looking for a problem, and the only one that it's proven to solve is Bitcoin. And all of these other sort of use cases like decentralize this or decentralize that, you're absolutely right that they haven't actually proven themselves in any way, shape, or form. Most of them are concepts, and people fall in love with the concepts without actually looking into the tech and saying, okay, well, yeah, that doesn't work. Storage has been around since like 2013 or something like that. 2014 maybe. They've been going for 4 years about doing something like a decentralized Dropbox so that they can people can store files on somebody else's thing. This is kind of like what Filecoin is about. A lot of these places seem to think that having some sort of decentralization around storing it on somebody else's computer is actually a good thing or something. I have not seen anyone that's demanding that kind of technology. Nobody actually wants it. If I want to store data, I can get a thumb drive for $20 that will do like way better than a token that's like $500 or something. It just doesn't really make any sense to me, and the prices and all that stuff don't make any sense to me. For me, most of the value of all of these coins are not on the technology itself. It's all speculation value. It's a Keynesian beauty contest as far as I'm concerned.
It is. Let me summarize.
It's interesting. I think you guys are both right in some ways. Jimmy, again, I think you're looking at it as it is today. But, the internet was kind of this interesting thing that nobody really used for much, and people sort of said, well, yeah, the only thing it's going to be good for is search. And then all of a sudden there were all these other technologies that came out of that. And
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think if you look at the history of the internet, it started with a lot of people that were communicating via email and things like that. It wasn't that like there were very early cases that were very obvious where people were using it. With ICOs, you have no idea. Like that, it's kind of a broken funding model as far as I'm concerned.
No, I think you're missing the whole point, is that the blockchain has opened up people's minds. And suddenly you have all this creativity of 7 billion people on the planet who are saying, hey, this is interesting and it can be used for other things. And Bitcoin's opened their eyes too. Bitcoin has made it so people have said, wow, this is interesting. This is a new currency. It's global, it's decentralized, it's safe, it's more secure than what's out there. That's a big breakthrough. People are saying, hey, we can use it for remittance, we can use it for whatever, storing value, for all the many, many things that they're using it for. But you're going to start seeing other new ICOs, new technologies that are doing equally interesting things. And it is true, by the way, that people all did say the sort of same stuff about the internet, that this is not good for anything but kiddie porn or whatever. And all of a sudden there were all these creative people that came up with all these creative ideas. And now, it used to be back then, we only had maybe 100,000 people who were capable of chiming in and coming up with creative new solutions for businesses. Now, pretty much maybe half the population of the earth, maybe 3 to 4 billion people have access and can put their creativity on this. And I think we're going to see amazing things happen. So much can happen. And of course, yeah, it's not there yet. And I understand the engineer in you saying, yeah, but engineers can do stuff. They can create new stuff. They can, and it's their imagination that we're all counting on. I describe an ICO as a Kickstarter for societal transformation. Some of them are just these little fluff deals and people just taking advantage of it, trying to make quick bucks. And I'm wondering who the people are who are backing them. I think that's it's a big mistake to back them. But if you've got an ICO, you can design that in any way you want. And the reason I say it's like a Kickstarter, it's like the product's not made yet, but if you want this societal transformation, you'll buy my coin. And I think that's what people are saying. And I think that's the beginning of what could be an amazing transformation of the earth.